Hi, I'm here. How are you guys today? I hope everyone's doing really well. It is Wednesday night. It is 8 p.m. and we are here and we're going to have some fun. I really am looking forward to this tonight. I know I have left you guys for a couple of weeks, and I apologize profusely for that. We will go into more about that later tonight, but I definitely want you to know that I'm really glad that you're here. I'm really glad that you take the time to check on me and to make sure everything's good and to ask, are you going to be live tonight? Are you going to be live tonight? So I really appreciate that greatly. We will not be joined by Maureen tonight. She is having a little vacation. She is also celebrating Cinco de Mayo with her boyfriend. So we're going to let her enjoy her evening tonight. I've already had a little family celebration earlier today. I had both of my daughters over with their children, so of course you all know how much I love that kind of stuff. So very cool for me. But I wanted to get on here tonight because I haven't been on here for a couple of weeks, and I know that you guys count on this sometimes, so I definitely wanted to be here. And I would love to have any reactions, comments, questions. Feel free to just reach out and ask me anything, or just make a little comment, a little hashtag, a little hey, how y'all doing? Um, that would be great. So, I thought maybe tonight we would talk about moms. I know that Sunday is Mother's Day, obviously. And for those of you who forgot, this is your reminder. Sunday is Mother's Day. You have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to get things figured out. So don't wait till Saturday night to do it. And I know that moms are going to say, don't get me anything. Your presence is enough. Your love is enough. All of that. And yes, that is true. We do very much want your presence and your love, and presence as in presence, not presents as in gifts. Um, I personally love gifts, so I'm totally cool with that. If anybody wants to give me a gift, I'm usually down for that. But what I would rather have is definitely the time with my kids, have them come over and spend time with me. Um, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how we treat our moms, um, and how maybe we should rethink how we treat our moms. Or maybe we should say, hey, I'm doing a pretty good job of how I'm treating my mom. So I know that not everyone had a great mom like I did. My mother's still here. She's still here on earth, so I still have a fabulous mom. But as a child, I thought she was a very good mom for me. She was loving and supportive and stern when she needed to be, and would be definitely um, in my business enough that I knew she was there. She kind of had that, we had that little bit of a fear reverence thing going on, both with mom and with God. I don't know, maybe they're right here. I don't know. Um, but it was important to me that when I became a mom at the very young age of 16, that I could look at my kids and know how I wanted to be a parent to them, um, because I'd had such a good mom. And I can remember one of the things that my mom was really good at, and she probably still is, but we don't test her patience anymore the way we used to. Was because I have four siblings, so there's five of us in the family. The first four of us were 7 years apart between the four of us, so like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years kind of thing. Um, but then my little sister was 9 years younger than me. So there was 9 years and then 11 years, and then I guess it would be 14 years and 15 years, respectively, between all of our siblings and our youngest sister. And so, one of the things that I noticed my mom did really well and that I wanted to emulate was she could be as mad as could be, as frustrated as could be, as annoyed as could be with one child. And when the other child, who she was not mad or frustrated with, came up and needed something, she didn't bite their head off. When she turned to that child, then she was composed, and she had her calmness together. And so it was something that I strived for as a parent then, was to be able to do that for my mom or for my kids. And if my mom hadn't exercised that in front of me, I would have never known. Um, a lesson that I learned then as a young parent, from that I think made me a better mom, was in a Bible study. And I went to, it was a very small church we went to, very small Bible study. And so there was one adult Bible study class. And so it was all ages, all different stages of life. It was probably the best Bible study group I've ever been in, men and women. But because it was expansive through the ages, it had people like myself, who at the time I was a young parent, and my children were all very young. Um, and then through to, people who had been retired for 20 years already, and their children had been out of the house for 40, 50 years already. So it was a great mix of different people. We had some widows in there, we had single moms, we had all of it. So we studied the book Forgive and Forget, which was a great study in and of itself. If you're having issues with forgiveness, that is a great book to get. It's just called Forgive and Forget. I don't remember the author's name. It was a very small book. I do remember that, so it's a quick read. But it talked about forgiveness and about apologies in the book. And so one day we were talking about apologies, and do you say you're sorry to your kids when you mess up? And a lot of the older generation was like, no, you can't do that. Then it kind of takes away that mystique, that reverence, that kind of fearful, unknown kind of feeling. Um, but then some of the younger, but older than me, were saying, I've never thought about it, but maybe that is a good thing to do. And I thought to myself, I don't remember saying anything at the time, but I thought to myself, that is a good thing to do, to be able to apologize to your kids, to show them that no matter how big or small you are, to be able to apologize to someone that you wronged is a really important trait to have as a person, and as a genuine person and as a caring person. And so that was something that I learned very early in motherhood, was to care for, was to apologize, and be human to my kids and emulate. We emulate so much of what we want them to learn, right? We make sure that the way we speak, we don't say certain words we don't want them to say, although somehow they pick those up. We don't hit because we don't want them to hit. We don't kick people because we don't want them to kick people. And other things like that that we do, that they're emulating that behavior. And we don't stop and think about, like, how do they see us when you did something wrong, they know you did something wrong? Do they ever see that follow through of apology and amends? And I think it's really important for them to see that, so they know what it really looks like. It's kind of like learning a job and starting at the end and working your way backwards to learn it. You know what the finished product is supposed to look like, so you make sure to, while you're going through the process of going back to the beginning, you learn how it becomes that finished product. And I think that teaching your child by showing them your apology and sharing that with them is a really important thing to do, for our children to learn. So, those are just a couple of ideas that, a couple of things that kind of came to mind when I thought about motherhood. Obviously, for those of us who have gone through labor, birth labor and birth pains. There's all of that that goes with it. And then the healing after the birth, for those of us who have lost a child, there's a lot more healing that has to go on because it's not just physical, it's mental and emotional, and all of these components mixed in. And so it's really important that we honor mothers on this day, but also every day. And, simple things like when we have a family gathering, for example, you get together at Christmas time or Thanksgiving or Easter, and there's a cluster of all these people around. Let's take a minute and say, "Hey, mom, how are you?" And take some time to sit down and talk to mom. Because I think that as I get older and my children are busy with their children, I find that there's times when I am feeling a little left out. And I don't say that to make them feel guilty. Don't ever want that. But just to be honest with you guys and to be really transparent, there are times when I'm sitting in the midst of a group of my children and their children and I feel left out. And that is not a fun feeling. And it makes me think about family events when I was a child or a young adult, and my grandparents would sit over off to the side, and not really have a lot of interaction. And it saddens me to think about them having those feelings that I have sometimes of feeling left out when you're the matriarch or the patriarch of this family, that you're the reason that we're all here is because of you, or at least somewhat because of you. And so it's really hard to accept that at times. But that's something that we can fix very easily, and we can just take a few minutes and talk to that other generation that maybe you just take for granted, and they will not be there forever. I talk a lot about my grandmothers because they both lived very different lives, and yet they also loved me and, of course, all my cousins and everything. But they loved us each in their own way to the capacity that they could. And I'll never forget their love. I don't think I ever took it for granted, probably as a child, because don't we do that as a child anyway? But I think that what's really cool is when we can look back on our lives and see the places where maybe we made mistakes, but yet we still have time. We can fix that with this generation. So that's what I would say, when it comes to Mother's Day, is when you look back at previous events with the family and maybe the mom wasn't as interactive as you thought she should or as engaged, maybe it was more on you than it was on her. So in this Mother's Day is a little bit different because they're the focus, right? But on another holiday, like maybe your kid's birthday party or your nephew's birthday party, and you're there and everybody else is there, and it's a big to do, and it's about the kid and it's about the kid's parents. I get that. But if you can take time to sit down with that older generation and take 10 minutes to talk to them at length, ask them how they're doing, what they're up to, it just really makes an impact for them to be able to feel comfortable in, and valued. So just something to think about. But I've been reading a book which is called I've Always Meant to Tell You, and it's Letters to Our Mothers, an anthology of contemporary women writers. And they wrote books to their mom, or not books, stories, letters to their moms. And I just thought it was beautiful because some of the questions that they tried to answer in here were, what do I tell her? What do I not tell her? And what do I wish I had said? And for those of you who have not taken the time to do anything for Mother's Day yet, and you do want to honor your mother, that is a really easy way to do it. Sit down and write a letter to your mother and answer What do you tell her? What do you not tell her? And maybe this is time to tell her one of those things that you wouldn't normally. And what do you wish you had said? What is it that if she were no longer here, or if she is no longer here with us on this earth, what is it that you would want to say to her? And I know that I may have people even watching right now who this is going to sting a little bit because they recently lost their mom, and I'm sorry. I cannot even imagine that pain, and I don't want to imagine that pain. But I do think that it could be cleansing for you to sit down and write that letter to her, even though it's your first Mother's Day without her. It might be a really good idea to kind of sort through all of that. It might be a cleansing thing for you to do. I don't know. It's an idea. You know, I love the writing when it comes to clearing your head and getting yourself figured out and knowing what you want to do. So definitely something I would recommend. The way that you can do that is just simply write her a letter. You know, you can do it on your computer, you can do it on your notepad, you can do it on your phone, whatever is easiest for you. But the more important thing is expressing yourself, and express that to your mother. And then if your mom is with you still on this earth, then call her and tell her some of these things, or go see her if you can, or FaceTime or Zoom with her if you can, and tell her these stories, and tell her read her the letter, you know. Don't be a chicken, read the letter to her. If she's not here and you have no way to connect with her, whether she is just not part of your life, or whether she is just not here on this earth anymore, still write the letter. You might find that it's really helpful to do that. But then go ahead and read the letter to someone important that would know how important that was for you to do that. Because that could be really cleansing for you to do as well. And just show her, you know, you can still honor your mother and her spirit in this world. And even if you didn't have a great mom like I did, she's still your mother. She still made the choice to give you life. And even if she wasn't so great at that, she did give you life. And even if she wasn't so great at parenting for whatever reason, she still gave you life. And I think that they should still be honored to a certain extent. It's easy for me to say that because I have a great mom, so I don't have to be concerned about how to figure that out. But I can also understand how that might be difficult for some people to do if they don't have that great relationship with their mom. So I do think it's important for us to do that. But so really that's, you know, kind of what I wanted to talk about was, you know, let's talk about moms being one. I am one. I have 4 children. I have 5 stepchildren, and I have 15 grandchildren. And I love it, all of it, every single bit of it. I struggled as a stepmom for a while, absolutely. I've kind of found some footing, but I've also found where there is no footing, and don't step there. Although I'm sure I'll learn more of that as time goes on. And I think that sometimes being a mom to someone that you didn't give birth to, whether you're officially a mom, or whether it's a foster care situation, or whether it's just someone that you met that needed that connection, the mom connection, and you fulfilled that for them, that makes you a mom. It's no different than the moms who actually have a child in their womb and birth that child. If you're a mom, you're a mom, period. That's all there is, end of sentence. And I saw a beautiful story on what was it, on the news the other night, and it was a woman who was relatively young herself, but she had met this other young woman about the time she was starting to age out from the foster system. And this other young woman was adopted by her at 19. And I just thought that was so beautiful that when the girl became 18 and therefore was out of the foster care system, she continued to support her as a mother would, and she continued to love her through that. And I just thought that was such a beautiful story that, even though this young lady was technically an adult, and I don't think this woman who adopted her could have biologically, with their age difference, I don't think she could have had her as a child, quite honestly. She looked extremely young, but she fulfilled that role for her. And I think that, recognizing moms like that are very important too. We need to recognize all the different kind of moms that are out there, because sometimes they don't come in that traditional mold that we expect them to come in. And I thought that was an absolutely beautiful story. So no matter who you are or where you are, if you have love in your heart, give it to someone else. It multiplies, it does not divide, and it will just continue to grow from there. And it's a beautiful thing. So, so I really just wanted to talk about moms today. Mommy. Um, I have that meme in my head from Tommy from I can't think of, I think it's American, it's not American Dad. I don't know. It's a cartoon, adult cartoon. Tommy stands by the bed with the mom in the bed, and he just stands there going, Mom, 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 Mommy, Mommy, Mama, Mama, Mommy, until she finally answers, and then he says, Nothing, and walks away. So, for those of you that are moms, I'm sorry that I just triggered you. I should have warned you. Absolutely. My apologies on that. For those of you who are just here to have fun, just think about that next time you think moms don't do much, or whatever you might think about moms. But I wanted to talk a little bit about kids too, because without the kids we wouldn't be moms, right? Got to have a kid of some way, shape, sort, fashion. And sometimes you get surprised by what you are gifted when it comes to kids. And I will say that a few years ago, I finally figured out that my heart belongs to teenagers. I love them so much. There's something special about them. They're just so full of hope and energy, yet so completely misunderstood in this world. And I just think teenagers are the most fun to be around. And then I got to become a stepmom to a teenager, and I don't think I've ever been in love with anyone more. That kid is very special to me, and I hope that he knows how special he is to me. I try to make sure that he knows that. We have a wonderful relationship. We talk literally about everything. And I know that God specifically put him in my life. And I just am so grateful that I get to be his stepmom. And it's pretty awesome for me. But, kids are just who they are, right? And we just have to figure out how to motivate them to do what they need to do, how to put the fear in them so that they'll stop doing what they shouldn't be doing. My little 2-year-old grandson was here tonight, and he was throwing things that he shouldn't be throwing. His mother told him no. He continued to throw, so she marched him down the hall and put him in timeout. And the whole time he's in timeout, he's just yelling, Mom! 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 Over and over and over. And she kept telling him, you need to be quiet till the timer goes off. And I turned to her and I said, how long is this timer? She said, Mom, it's only 2 minutes. I'm like, he's got to have been there for 2 minutes already. But she just was so sweet with him and so good with him. And I could tell, because I'm her mom, I could tell she was kind of frustrated with him. But I just am so proud of how good my kids are at being parents. And I love the way that my stepkids are at being parents. They're so good at it. And I think back to how I was as a parent and being 16 years old and not knowing what the heck I had gotten myself into. And things that I would do very differently now, but also things that I have learned I wouldn't actually do differently. There's a very quick end to my patience that I had when I was 16, and I still have now, 33 years later, or whatever it is. So, yeah, I would not have the patience any more today than I would have then. So, I don't beat myself up about it or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we think that in life, right? Like, well, if what had happened then happened now, I would handle it this way or that way. And you might think that until you're put into a very similar situation. And then you go, oh, wait, no, I actually would handle it the same way. That's just who I am. And I know that. And that's okay. It's good to know yourself. It's very good to know yourself. So, and one thing that I have shared with several people this week is that many of you already know that I deal with depression, and I've been dealing with it for over 20 years. Knowing that I've been diagnosed with depression for over 20 years, being medicated for it for probably 15 years. And I am currently in what I call a funk, or a moment, an episode. I don't know what's the best way to say it, but of depression, and I am fighting through it. And I've also had some anxiety because, of course, about 5 years ago, I had a panic attack when I was put on some wrong medication. And that seemed to have opened that floodgate. So I get to have anxiety attacks sometimes. How fun is that? But I just wanted to say all that to you, to say that I know that for some of us, Mother's Day is not going to be the Hallmark holiday that it's depicted to be on TV. And I know that some of us may want certain things to happen on Mother's Day, or to be the case on Mother's Day, and maybe part of it will happen, but not all of it will happen. Maybe your kids will inadvertently hurt your feelings on Mother's Day or leading up to it, when they tell you they can't do this or that because they have this or that other thing they have to do. And I just want you to give yourself some grace through that, and to recognize the pain, and to understand where it's coming from. Don't try to tell yourself that you're overreacting, you shouldn't feel this way, you shouldn't feel that way, or whatever. Your feelings are your feelings. If you're being honest with yourself and you know how you're feeling, then that's what they are. And take the time to analyze them. If you've already done some of the work with expressive writing and with journaling and analyzing your emotional intelligence and improving that, then you'll be in a better place this Mother's Day, even if everything goes sideways and nothing goes the way that you want it to go. So that is good, right? So, and I will have a new blog for you this week. I'm working on something that I think will be fun and beautiful for Mother's Day and special. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. But if you want more information about expressive writing and how to do that, I do have a download that you can get. It is on my website, and my website is my name, JenniferAndersonSmith.com. Remember, the Anderson is SEN. I will put a link in the comments so you can get to that very quickly and just download that beautiful spreadsheet download that I have for expressive writing. Tells you exactly how to do it step by step, gives you some prompts to work on. But if you know that you're going to need to work on some Mother's Day stuff, then go ahead and use that. And if you're looking to have someone help you work through some of this stuff in a longer term scale, I guess is the best way to say that. I do offer individual personal mentoring services, so I can help you out with that as well. And you can connect with me either right here through Facebook, on the Messenger, or in and through my website to get set up an exploratory conversation and talk about what that relationship would look like and see if that is a good fit for you. So I just would love to say happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there, no matter how you are moms, even you dog moms, cat moms, all of that. I hope everyone has a beautiful weekend, and you will see a post from me for the weekend as well. And I may even pop back on here for a live for a minute or two. So feel free to leave any comments, questions, or anything you'd like to talk about. And I love to interact with you. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye now.